Hi team, once again I welcome you all to my channel, that AI ML with Kapil Pawar. And today what we are gonna do is, today we'll start learning with the basics of Python. And as you know that previously we discussed that based on your laptop or your PC's specification, which type of Python you should install. And also we discussed about some couple of important libraries which are still here. So I hope like you people can just see this thing. I'm just increasing the font size. Okay. And also we discussed that how we should install these libraries, maybe using pip install package name. And if you are using the Python 3 and you have the Python 2 also installed, then you'll have to use the command pip 3 install package name there. If you guys are facing any kind of issue, you can just put your question in the comment, or you can DM me. So I'll definitely help you out in installing Python and installing all these libraries if it's really required. So today what we are going to start is we are understanding that that you don't have any like previous background with the computer, or that much thing which you should be knowing. So we'll start fresh from the scratch, and we'll discuss that what are the type of like the datas are there in the computer. So what we call is a variable, what is the consonant, and something like that. So we all starts with something. So suppose I write a is equals to 2. So here a is my consonant, where I'll just open the variable explorer. So it shows the a is an int type, and also like its value is 2. So what does it means by the int and all? So we'll discuss all these things. So suppose I'm writing the a is equals to 2, b equal to 2.1, any fractional values. Okay, then c is equals to true. Okay, so we have two types of thing, true and false. So let me also write d is equals to false. Okay, then e is equals to let me write hi, this is Kapil. Okay, and the moment when I'm just running this thing, you can see like we'll just go to the variable explorer and we'll see that what it is generating out here. Yeah, so if you see a, where I just printed the a equal to 2. So this 2 value, like any number which is a whole number, is being called as an integer value. So that's stored as an int. Any number which is fractional, we call it as a float value. Okay. Any value which comes as a true or false, that comes as a boolean. Boolean means it's either like either or type of thing, like 1 or 0 functionality, where true is always stands for the 1 and 0 for the false. Okay, at the same time e, where I pass something in this inverted commas that was a string, so it may be a sentence or whatever it is. So that's called as a str, string format. Okay, so these are the basic like 3 or 4 types of format which we are going to use frequently in our this whole data science program. So one should be aware about these points. Okay, now let's see one more thing. So if one person who is already know the Java or the .NET or something like that, you have to initialize the variable before going this. So what is the meaning of initialization of variable? Like first I'll have to write a, and I'll have to tell them that this a is of what type. Okay, so generally in other programming languages we need to define that a is an integer, and then we start something in this a. Okay, but right now what happens is the Python is so simpler, and like you can directly go and you can say a equals to 2, and suppose if I write a equals to 2, done. So now what is the final value of a? So now if we come and we decode this part, okay, so let's do, we'll grow run by run. Okay, so the moment I run this part, right now if you see the a is int with the 2 value, correct? The moment I run this part, a becomes the string with the 2. Here this 2 is not as a number, this 2 has been stored as a string. So that's what it's showing as a str type here. Okay, so the person who are using the Jupyter notebook and they doesn't have this functionality of finding out this part, in Python we have the function, we call it at a type. So now if you pass type as a, it will generate you as a str. Okay, so this str means string. Okay, so that's how like you can check the output of your variable. Now why this 2 becomes as a string? Because we pass this is in this comma. So for Python, like it is okay if you pass in this bracket, or if you passed it in like even this bracket. Sorry. Okay, both forms are same. So now a has been overwritten with this thing, and let's again check the type of a. So a will become the string only. Okay, so that's how like you can check the type of your parameter and something. So I'll again open the variable explorer. So these are the 4 parts. So let me again rerun this part so it becomes int. Yeah, and one more important thing that it's very easy that you can assign like previously a was integer here, okay, then I'll assign something string to a. So I don't need to tell that now I'm changing the type of a, so it's auto in the backend for the Python. So you can freely assign anything in any variable, or you can keep on changing. I can change a simple variable to a list variable to a simple variable. Okay, so now we'll discuss that what are these all things, list and all. So this was just a basic regarding that type of parts. Now let's come with a part which we call as a list. So what is a list is, so list or array. Okay, so this is for the data science part, it's a 1D vector. Okay, so how we define it is, it may be like 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 something, and let me store again this thing to a. Okay, so now you'll see that how easy it is. I just train it. Now if you go and check the type, so look here, I already have the type. A has become the list with its size is 8 and its value are, these are the values of this part. Okay, now here it also represents this part. If I click on this, it will open a data viewer where I can see the values of this list. Okay, at the same time this also shows the index. So always remember that Python is the index which starts from the 0, where the help index is. So you can understand that index is an address of a person. Okay, then this name of this list is an area. Okay, so suppose you say that I or either you say that I live in this apartment on this number of floor. Okay, so with the same thing, so this A is your apartment name here, and these are the floor number. So it always starts from the ground floor, which is 0, and then first 2 3 4. So if I want to reach to the 5, that Mr. 5, where do you live? It's like I live in A apartment at 3rd floor. Correct? So why I told you this thing? So now if I want to check, so at the A apartment, who lives at 3rd floor? Look, that's the Mr. 5. Okay, so that's how like you can understand this part. So it always starts with the 0. So 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. And also one thing can be done, you can just do the reverse part of this. So you can start from the -1. So I'm just saying that this is -1, -2, -3, -4. So if you are using the minus, then it's not starting with 0, because 0 doesn't have the minus or something like that. Okay, so in that case it's starting from the 9. So that's a -1, -2, -3. So if you always want the first and the last element of an list, so I can do the first element is suppose 0 and my last element is a -1. So it's like for everything, whether I don't know that what's the length of the list and all these things, but yeah, it will always generate the first and the last element of that list. Now there are several other parts like with this list only, that how do we sort the list. Okay, so right now I'm again assigning a new list which I call as a S, and I'm writing here some random number. Okay, this is just for part. So now when I do S is equals to S dot sort. Okay, so we have this functionality in S. So just for a phrase, like we'll just go to here. Yeah, we have this S is list. It's looking like this 235 123 and all. The moment when I reassign this with the sort part, let's see what happens is, oh, it becomes the none. Why is it so? It doesn't require this part. Okay, but now we don't have the S value, so I'm running S value back. I'm running this part. Where is that S? Okay, so the best part is we don't need to like store it. So you can just run the S. You can just do S equal to sorting, and it says that the sort is okay. So there is a no replied back. Now let's see, where is my S? Look, the S has been sorted. Okay, so that's all. Like even the list, if you want to sort it, you no need to assign it back to something. Correct? What's the benefit of that is, like it's using the same amount of memory. It's just going there and rearranging them. Okay, second thing, it's stored in the same variable which is the S, and yeah, this is function, so you need to call it with this. So you can pass the ascending or descending order here. So that's how like you can sort the list. At the same time, like when we are talking about the S, and now I want some specific part, so I can ask them give me 1 2 3, and when you run it will give you the 2 and 4. Okay, why is it so? It starts from 0, then it becomes the 1. So one part is your 2, which is given here. Now when I ask for 3, So either it's 1, 2, 3, but always remember that it generates this -1. Okay, so from first address until we reach the, like, before we reach the third address. So it's like that. So if I suppose I give the length, suppose I start from the 0, 5, so it will give me the first 5 values definitely, but that's starting from the 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this index will be generated. Yeah, so 1, 2, 4, 35 and 5. So this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so till the fourth it has generated, the fifth it's not including always. Okay, so that's the part which you need to remember about the list. The one more best thing about the list is like it uses the mix of something. So if I use the list 1 comma high comma true comma number 23 and I run it, so still you can see that S can store all these different type of variables within that. Correct. So it's not necessary that your list should contains only the integer number, only the float number or something like that. You can store a string, you can store integer, you can store float, you can even store the boolean data within that. Now coming to some simple parts about the operators, like how we do our operators. So 4 is greater than 2, it's true. Is the 2 is greater than 4, it will reply as a false. Okay, how else again you can check, like these things are usually helped while putting the if conditions and all these things. So this is for the greater than part. Then again for the less than part, like I can write that the 2 is the lesser than 3. Correct. Now for the equal, what we need to do is we need to pass equal 2 times. So 2 is equal to 2. Yeah, it's true, because single equal means you are assigning your right side of part to the left side of part. But when you are doing the equal, it means they are testing, they are comparing to each other, like the left side will be compared with the right side. If things are equal, they will pass equal, otherwise like they will pass the false with you. Okay, so that's how like you can do it. So all again the part, like one thing which you are just running it here, it will be just stored in your temp memory. So it will be run and it will store a value, but it's better to always store so it's in something variable. So suppose I'm doing it here in A. If I go there, so now A is bool, which is true. At the same time, after this step, suppose I'm just adding one more new column here and I'm saying that delete my A. Okay, so just see that the A has been erased from the memory. Okay, so that's why if you are doing something on the fly which is directly going to be consumed, you can do it on the fly, because that will not be stored where you are directly using the values there. Like suppose if I am using the if condition, so if will generate the true or false, and then definitely like at the next again part it will use it for the some next part. So it's not storing those values about the true and false, it's just using that and erasing that part. But if you are keep going such a things like just some random throw, it can store something into the temp which you may not be able to delete it. Or so it's always better that I just assign it in the A and then delete A. So at the same time, like you can delete in such a way, so I'm deleting B, C, D, E and S. Look, the one hit, no variable is defined now, so because we have deleted each and every variable there. Correct. Now let's see what is about the AND and OR operation. So let's check if 4 is greater than 2 and 3 is less than 4. It's true. Correct. Now if 4 is greater than 2 or 3 is greater than 4, it's true. Correct, because for OR operation any one of the part which is coming true, that will become true. Now how we represent as the NOT gate, so you can do 4 is not equal to 3. Oh sorry, so we can for the NOT operation you can just use this part. So 4 is not equal to 3, that's true again. Okay, at the same time for the AND function you can use, I'm just putting a string 10, you can use this symbol. Okay, similarly for the OR part you can just use this bar symbol for using these types of functionalities. Okay, now we'll discuss about that how we use the if loop and everything. So the if loop is like if, then you give a space, then you write your like the syntax. So what I'll do is I'll put it as a markdown. So even while putting the markdown, if you want the syntax to be there, you can just press these 3 lines and again just press this 3 line and just go and write it here as a Python. Now just check that. if, why aren't you taking a thing, if condition is true, then do it, else do it. Correct? So this is how it generates. So if condition, so here in condition you can put your condition. So if your condition is true, then you will do this part, otherwise you will do this part. So let's just go and check. So suppose I am assigning a is equals to 2, suppose, okay, and I'm checking if my a is less than equal to 2, print yes it is, else print no. Okay, so what it is doing is it's just going and checking that the a, if a is equal to or lesser than 2, yes it is lesser than or equal to 2, otherwise it's not. Now let's pass the 7 here and it prints the no. The reason is that a was 7, a comes here, if a is equals to or lesser than 2, so 7 is less than or equal to 2, no. So this passed the false, so it's not even going and commenting about this, it directly jumped to the else statement. It goes to else statement and it directly printed that whatever the statements we passed or we asked to print while there is an else condition. So that's how like you can run for the if statement. So it's just a simple piece. So you can like pause here or you can do the practice here. Also the one thing which is very important while doing the data analysis, that's the looping, the for loop things. So how we use the for loop? So we write it here for I in, suppose I can type here the range. So I'm suppose generating the range from 0 to 100 or not 100, let's just type it for the 10 parts. So as always, like whenever you are passing something range or something like that, where I'm saying that 0 to 100, it means that it will start from 0 and it's like it's taking the 10 steps. Then going down, I'm just print I. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna print I for the 10 times. So it started from 0, it's printed till 9. Correct? So that's how like you can use make use of for loop. Okay. At the same time, suppose I'm just using a list there and I want to append this value in list. So suppose I say my p list is equals to, I'm just assigning a blank list there. Okay. Now what I want is I want to store this I value in this p list. So what I'll do is I'll use a p list, then dot append command. So dot append command, what it will do, it will keep on appending these values which is coming as an I to the p. So how we can do is we can again like we can reiterate it as like this. Okay, and we'll so we have the variable explorer there. How many variables we have there? Okay, so we have till I values. So I'm just assigning this as a p look. Okay, so p has been assigned, p list, it's empty right now. Now the moment I say that run this for the for loop and append it, correct? So is the first step, when your I becomes 0, it appended, its size is 1 right now and the 0 has been stored. Now with the next loop, what will become? I will become 1. Okay, let's run it again. Yeah, so I became 1 now, and now when I'll do it, run it again, so what it will do, it will append that again. So it will add 0, now it will add 1 value again within this. Let's run it. Yeah, so it's added. So similarly it becomes 2, added 2, it becomes 3, added 3, 4, we added 4, 5, added 5, 6, added 6. So similar in such a way it will be keep on adding all the things, and at the end when things are finished it will say that it's done. Correct? So that's how like you can debug. So it's the only reason why I prefer you guys that while learning it's from the scratch, the VS Code notebooks are really very far better than the Jupyter notebooks. The reason is you have a direct variable explorer part here, and also like you can debug your code, you can go to each and every step and you can look at what you are generating. Once you have become a good like a programming, you have that idea that what you are writing and what you are generating in the programming aspect, you can directly jump to the Jupyter notebook. So the people who are already from the computer background or who has the good hand about this all loops and conditions, and they are pretty sure that what they are generating the codes are helping them in that part, they can directly jump to the Jupyter Notebook. Because what happens is when you are generating something and your results are wrong, there is always a conflict that it may be because of some data science reasons, like you haven't proper applied a good model, or maybe you have done something mathematical problem there, or the other part is like maybe that maybe some like this type of operational issue, which is because of the coding error, something like that. So it's always better that you soundproof yourself that whatever the mistakes now I'm making, that may be from the math side, not from the coding side. Then the Jupyter will really help you out. Otherwise you will stuck, and it will take a lot more time to find out like where the actual issue is. Okay, so that's how like we go with the for loop and all. So these important things which we discussed today is like about the list, about the if else condition, then about the for loop. At the same time, like we should talk about one more thing which is very good in the Python, which we call as a tuples. So what tuples are? So the list gives you the 10 values as an output, but I can store it as a 1. But there is also one way where I can store a comma b. Let me store as a comma b, and what I'm generating here is I'm giving it as a 2 comma 3. So this statement automatically make my a is 2, and just wait. So let me say print a, correct. Oh, this statement is still running. Print a, otherwise like we can directly generate the a comma b as an output here. Why is it taking so much long time? Okay, so something is stuck right now, but yeah, definitely what's the idea behind the tuple is like tuple, it's something which is passing within this small brackets, and whatever the numbers are, like the items which are passed through these small brackets, we should be having the same number of identical variables there which can assign them. So here if you see that the a and b are the variable which are just going assigning, so 2 will be assigned to the a and 3 will be assigned to the b. So if you just check that, look, it's showing that my b is a type of variable and it has the value of 3. At the same time, my a is the type of variable which stores the value of 2, correct. So if you hover, like even the VS Code is helping you out and identify that your this variable contains what value and all. So at the same time, like if we have this PS list right now which has the value stored within that, if we'll go and hover on P list, it shows that it is of the list type and these are the content which it's having right now. Okay, so in all such manners, like VS Code is a bit better if you are just a quick learner, even if you are a pro, so you can just make use of it. Okay, so like these all the things which we discussed today. There is one more concept which is about the dictionary, which I don't want to include it today, because if as a beginner you will read all these three things together, that the list and tuple and the dictionary, then these things may confuse you. But yeah, the important difference between the list and the tuple is like list we define as this larger bracket, whereas tuple we define as this small bracket. One more thing is that tuples are immutable, like you cannot change the values of this tuples on those bases. And also it's not like that I store it in one variable and then I can keep on iterating it like a0, a2, a1, a3. We'll have to assign all the values which are available in the tuple to the number of variables there, because each variable will take or hold one value only. Okay, so these are the points which we discussed today. So you can go through with all these things. You can pause or you can just rewind based on your phase. And if you have any query or if you have any question, you can just post it in the comments. I'll definitely reply on that part. And thanks for your support. Keep watching these videos. It's really motivates us. Thank you, team. Bye.